going on, y'all? Today we're going to be discussing my early rankings as of May. So we have a lot of time left till the season starts, but I want to go over some of my early ranking and just a quick rundown of every position. For starters, I want to go over the QB position, and then we're going to work our way through running backs, tight ends, receivers, all that good stuff. I'm basically splitting it up into two different tiers for my quarterbacks. You got your tier 1 and your tier 2. My tier 1 are basically my first 7 quarterbacks, and my tier 2 are essentially my second 7. Now I'm going to give you a little bit extra, obviously, top 12. I'm going to give you a couple extra picks. Some of the guys towards the ends could be interchangeable depending on your opinion, but this is my opinion. It's my video. So let's get started. At the quarterback position, QB1 overall, I'm going with Lamar Jackson. As long as his weapons are healthy this year, you got Zay Jones coming back, you got Rashad Bateman coming back, you got Mark Andrews coming back, you got Derrick Henry, who's going to give that offense a little extra flair. It's going to give Lamar Jackson a little added bonus to his game that he's never had before with the play action pass. Obviously, this offense has been predicated on rushing the ball, play action pass, to a certain degree, but you've never had a running back like Derrick Henry. So it's going to open up the offense and have his receivers more open than not. And my QB2, I'm going with CJ Stroud. He just has too many weapons. He's going to build off what he did his rookie year. He's also going to rush the ball a little bit more this time. You can see him easily getting 300 yards, rushing a couple extra rushing touchdowns. You got Stephon Diggs added with Nico Collins, who they just re-signed for 3 years. Tank Dell's going to be fully healthy. You got Dalton Schultz back. You even got an upgraded running back with Joe Mixon, who's better out the backfield than Devin Singletary was. I think that he has too many weapons to fail. At 3, Jalen Hurts. The tush push might still be alive, but even if he isn't, you still got A.J. Brown, you still got Devontae Smith, you still got Dallas Goedert, and you have an upgrade with Saquon Barkley. Again, it's going to give him an added bonus, just like Lamar Jackson, of the play action pass, in which he's never had. And even if the tush push is still not a thing, I still do believe that at the goal line, yes, you're going to give the ball to Saquon majority of the time, but he still has an added bonus of giving you rushing touchdowns. At 4, Kyler Murray. Yes, he missed a handful of games last year, but he was a top 10 running back in points per game in the games that he played. And that was with really no weapons. You had Trey McBride, who is coming back, and stay tuned to find out where I got him ranked at. You'd be surprised. He's going to be fully healthy. He's going to continue to rush the ball. As long as Kyler Murray has been in the NFL, as long as he's been on the field, he's been productive. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to surprise a lot of people. Not only is he, touted as one of the highest ranked wide receivers that come out into the NFL in the recent past, he is going to be their number 1 target, and he's going to give Kyler Murray a big target, which he hasn't had in a while. He's really been predicated on, Zach Ertz, Trey McBride. So let's give him that deep threat. Let's see what he can do. At 5, Anthony Richardson. We only seen him for a couple of games in 2023. But in those few games, he's proved that he can be a top quarterback in this league. Or at least for fantasy purposes. He's going to rush the ball. We've seen that his ceiling with the rushing is very close to Lamar Jackson, and that's saying a lot. At 6, I'm going to have to give it to Patrick Mahomes. As much as I hate to say it being a Raiders fan, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best quarterback. For fantasy purposes, he's let us down the last few years compared to where you have to draft him at, but it's because his weapons hasn't really been there. He has upgraded weapons, Hollywood Brown. We're going to see what's going on with Rashee Rice. Still got Travis Kelce. We've seen what Mahomes can do when he has weapons. 4,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Now, I don't think that he's going to get there quite this year, but again, he's going to be in the upper echelons of fantasy QBs. And running on my last tier, I got to give to Josh Allen. Even though his weapons are completely depleted, unlike Patrick Mahomes, who got an upgrade in weapons, Josh Allen got a decrease in weapons, but he's still top 10 quarterback. He's going to give you the rushing. He's going to give you the goal line touchdowns. Very hard for me to take him out of my top tier. And in the second tier, you got Dak Prescott, who they have no rush game. They signed Zeke, but what is he even at this point in his career? He's going to continue to throw the ball. This is probably his last year as a Dallas Cowboy. So he's playing for that big contract. I can see him duplicating his MVP type season last year, where he was a top 5 quarterback. Kirk Cousins at 9. Kirk Cousins isn't a mobile quarterback, so the ACL tear doesn't really scare me as much. His pocket presence is what he's going to be at. He has very good weapons with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. He's going to give you 4,000 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, which is his average. So even though he doesn't really give you much with the rushing, he lands in my top 10 quarterbacks based off of volume. At 10, Joey B. He lost Tyler Boyd. It's a very good possibility he still loses T. Higgins. They're having contract talks right now. Him or Jamar Chase, neither one showed up to OTAs. Obviously, it's voluntary, but they're sending a message. What is he without his top weapons? We're going to see. At 11, Brock Purdy. Again, he just has, too many weapons to fail, regardless if he's a game manager or not. He's very safe at the quarterback position. And rounding on my top 12 is Caleb Williams. I mean, you got DeAndre Swift, you got DJ Moore, you got Keenan Allen, you got Cole Kmet, you got Gerald Everett. He has too many weapons to fail, and he's going to give you a little bit of extra rushing. Do I think that he's a top 5 quarterback by any means? No, but I do think that you can draft him at the end of your draft, and they can give you safety if you want to pile up on your running backs and wide receivers. Rounding out my second tier is Matthew Stafford and Tua. I think the Rams are going to have a top offense, and unfortunately, Matthew Stafford is past his prime and no longer gives you really anything in the rushing game. If his receivers stay healthy, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, you got Cole Kmet, you got Kyron Williams, this offense can do numbers. You got Tutu Atwell, you got DeMarcus Robinson to sprinkle in. He can easily go for 4,000 passing yards, 35 touchdowns. We've seen it done before. And if he stays healthy, he's going to be a sleeper pick. Tua, again, the weapons is just, outstanding. You got probably a top 3 receiver in the league. Jalen Waddle, even though he gets hurt every other play, he still gives this offense what they need. And he doesn't have to throw bombs on the field because he gets his receivers in positions to run us to the catch. So, if he's throwing 5-yard slants and they're taking it to the house, you still get fancy points for that. Those are my top 14 quarterbacks. Let's move on to tight ends. So my first tier in tight ends, again, I'm going to give you 14, tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1, Travis Kelce. Really don't have much to say. I understand that he, was no longer the tight end 1. Until I see some consistency out of these other tight ends, I'm going to go with Travis Kelce. At 2, give me Trey McBride. Kyler locked on to Trey McBride when he came back last year, and he's going to do it again this year. Yes, again, like I said, they signed Marvin Harrison, and he's probably the number 1 target in this offense, but we don't know. We've seen him build rapport with Trey McBride. We've seen the trust there. We've seen him average 10-plus targets in multiple games. Trey McBride is going to, if not, be the number 1 target getter in this offense, at least number 2. I can see him getting close to 100 targets, and with that type of volume at the tight end position, it's hard to beat. At 3, give me Mark Andrews. We've seen the consistency. We've seen him finish as a tight end 1 before. Health is just the main thing. I need to see him stay healthy. He did get hurt last year, so let's see how he comes back in training camp, and let's see what he can do to get healthy and ready during the offseason. But he's a surefire weapon in this offense. He's the leading target getter for Lamar Jackson. Again, at the tight end position, it's very hard to argue with volume. At 4, Kyle Pitts. Kirk Cousins is going to give him a much-needed boost. One of the last times, the fantasy community is going to recommend drafting Kyle Pitts. This might be his last year. If he doesn't do it now, will he ever? At 5, last year's number 1 as a rookie, Sam Laporta. He definitely had a good year last year, but Travis Kelce didn't have a good year. Mark Andrews got hurt. George Kittle wasn't really performing. Again, Kyle Pitts didn't have a quarterback. So let's see what he can do when these guys are on their A game. Between Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta, those are your 2 main targets in the Lions offense, and they're going to have a great offense again this year. At 6, Dalton Kincaid. What Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis left behind was over 200 targets. And I'm not going to sit here and say Dalton Kincaid is going to get all of them because they did sign a handful of new wide receivers. But none of those guys have rapport with Josh Allen. None of those guys are anything special and have been anything special in their career. Guys like Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, Deion Coleman as a rookie. Dalton Kincaid is going to flourish in his offense, and he's going to probably be Josh Allen's number 1 target. And we've seen what Josh Allen's number 1 target has done throughout the year. They've scored fantasy points. And rounding out my first tier is George Kittle. George Kittle, at this point in his career, is going to give you more boom bust, more than safety and have a high floor. But there's games where he's going to win you your week. And there's not many tight ends that can do that. In the tier 2, Jake Ferguson. Again, Dallas Cowboys did not really do anything with their running backs this year. They signed Zeke Elliott, but the rush offense is going to be abysmal. Dak Prescott is going to have to throw the ball. He's going to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb. He's going to throw the ball to Jake Ferguson. At 9, give me Evan Ingram. He has a decent-sized floor. Calvin Ridley is no longer in this Jaguars offense, so Evan Ingram goes back to the number 2 target in this offense. At 10, TJ Hawkinson. It's really the quarterback position. He went from Kirk Cousins to probably Sam Darnold or a rookie quarterback at JJ McCarthy. So I think he's a decent tight end. He's not an ungodly athlete. So his production is predicated on a quarterback. And there's a huge question mark in that department. But at the same time, he's going to get volume. At 11, Dallas Goedert. For multiple years now, he's been second or third option in this offense, and he's going to continue to be that. And the Eagles, once again, should be a good offense. Rounding out my top 12 is David Njoku. He had a great year last year with a flurry of quarterbacks. Sean Washington should stay healthy, and if he's anything, if he's a percentage of what he used to be, David Njoku should be a highly touted tight end and a sleeper pick, in my opinion. Rounding out my tier 2 is Brock Bowers. I know you can say, well, he's a Raiders homer. That's why. But I think drafting him in the top 10, they're going to put him in positions out of the backfield, in the slot, out wide. He's an offensive weapon. He's not just a tight end. Think of him like Taysom Hill. Speaking of Taysom Hill, he's my tight end 14. He's just a Swiss Army knife. I'm going to give him one more chance. And one of the main benefits is you're able to plug him in at the quarterback position and still get points as a tight end. That's a cheat code. So let's go ahead to the wide receivers. I'm going to be as quick as possible with my wide receivers. Tier 1, I have Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown. Tier 2, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Drake London, Puka, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans. My next tier, Chris Olave, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Waddle, Brandon Ayuk, Marvin Harrison, Michael Pittman, DK. My next tier, Scary Terry, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, George Pickens, Amari Cooper, Josh Palmer, Christian Watson. And rounding out my tiers, Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Devontae Smith, D-Hop, Mike Williams, and T. Higgins. This is what you get with the wide receivers. First tier is your absolute target hogs. Second tier is high volume, high ceilings with weak winning upside. My next tier is not really sexy picks, but the floor is very high. And if you go running back, you can feel confident with these guys as your wide receiver 1. With my next tier, these are the guys who should be your wide receiver 1, but we're just not really sure. And there's not a lot of upside with these picks. And my last tier are really just guys who you have to really hope for an injury on the offense. They're going to get volume, but you can't trust them as your wide receiver 1. But unfortunately, we don't predict injuries. But if something happens to where these guys are thrust as tier to the wide receiver 1 for sure on their team, that can be a great option. So let's round out with the running backs. Tier 1, obviously CMC, Bijan, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Kyren Williams. These are your RB1s who shouldn't get past the first round. If any of these guys slide to the second round, you scoop them up with the quickness. My tier 2, James Cook, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs. You got your Detroit Lions backfield and your Miami Dolphins backfield. Again, if you go wide receiver in the first round, you can feel confident with these guys as your RB1. You do have a handful of question marks with a lot of these guys, but you can feel very confident with these guys as your RB1. My next tier is the high volume, high ceiling, but also low floor tier. That's Joe Mixon, James Conner, Zach Moss, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, Zamir White, Aaron Jones. These guys are not the focal point in their offense, but they can also give you a high upside because the offense are going to be very good. My next tier, Rashad White, Javonte, Ramondre Stevenson, Devin Singletary, Zeke. You got your Cleveland backfield and your Chargers backfield. This is straight volume. They don't have a high ceiling, but they're going to get the volume. And my last tier is the committee tier. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson. You got the Steelers backfield. You got the Titans backfield and the Panthers backfield. In my opinion, I really don't want to touch this tier. I wouldn't be confident with any one of these guys, really, aside from Austin Eckler, because we've seen him done it before. But these offenses won't really be very good, and they're stuck in committees. So you don't get the workhorse. You don't have a high-powered offense. Not really sure what you get with this tier. So those are my rankings. As of May, stay tuned. I will update every month. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. Remember, subscribe to see more content from me and everyone here at Just in Time Media.